Welcome back, talking with the world champion himself, Jensen Button. Jensen, we've been talking about some of the various highlights in your life. One thing that often comes up in articles, and I just wondered whether it's come up very often in your life, have there been times when you've felt danger or even death was very close? Have there been dicey moments?
Yeah, there are always a few things that people talk about with Formula One. You know, it's exciting because of the speed, the lifestyle that we supposedly have, and the danger.
Yeah.
And yes, you know, we've all been involved in accidents in the past, and you know, we're not silly. You know, we know that there are dangers involved. The last time I had an accident was in 2003. I was exiting the Monaco tunnel, the Grand Prix there, and I lost control and I ended up hitting two walls. I pulled 33 Gs, which is a lot, and it felt like my skin and my flesh was being sort of pulled off of the bones in my body. And then I blacked out, I fainted, and well, didn't faint, I was unconscious. And I woke up and I had the medical staff cutting up my suit, up my arms, and injecting needles into me all over me, and it was quite a strange feeling, and I felt really uncomfortable and pretty scared at that moment. I headed to hospital and had lots of checks. Everything was okay. I had concussions, so I wasn't able to race the next day. But I walked out of hospital the next morning feeling fine. So in one way, it was a horrendous accident. But also to walk away from something like that, you realise how far we have come with the safety of the cars and the circuits.
Sterling Moss in the early days did a lot of the reform on that, didn't he?
Exactly, and sort of, I think it was about 7 or 8 years before me, somebody had the same accident and they were in a coma for 2 weeks. So it shows how far we've come and how how much we are still working on improving safety. It will always be a dangerous sport, but there are little things that we can do, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And the speed thing, something that will replace the excitement and the speed and give me what I'm looking for. That was your ideal of what you'd look for later on. Something that would replace the excitement and the speed.
I'm still looking. That's one thing I think every driver suffers with after racing in Formula One. What do they do after such an adrenaline-fueled sport? It's very difficult, and it's something I'm not thinking about quite yet. I'll leave that for my sort of partner manager to look after. Right.
But you presumably reckon you'll go on for the foreseeable future for another 10 years at least?
No, I won't be racing for 10 years.
No?
You know, for me, I want to still racing when I think I'm at my peak. And 10 years down the line, I don't think I personally will be. I've been racing in Formula One for 10 years. For sure, there's a lot more years in me where I still crave the speed and the competition. But there will become a time where it gets a little bit too much and I want to go and have some fun racing elsewhere. So that will happen, but not for a while. There's a lot more I still want to achieve in Formula One.
Yes. Do you and Lewis have the same plans for this year? I mean, which will obviously have to clash at some point.
I know, that is one thing. You know, Lewis is a great guy. You know, he's an exceptional talent, and I've always known that since he was a kid. And he showed us that. Well, he's shown us that every year he's been in Formula One. So to have him as a teammate, it's great for me. You know, we have a lot of respect between us. We work together very well, which is so important. You know, we share information, and you know, if we have a problem, we talk about it, and then we discuss it with the team. But as you say, you know, we are fierce rivals when we get on the circuit. You know, you want to beat everyone, and your teammate's the one that's in the same car as you. But at the moment, our way of thinking is we work together, and then we will build a car that's good enough to fight for the championship, and then we'll fight it out.
And yes, so you can predict who will be one of the two people who could be champion this year.
Well, I'm hoping that Lewis is the guy that I'm fighting for the championship, because that means that we have a quick car this year. So, you know, Lewis is going to always be strong. There are many other guys out there at the moment that are also competitive that we have to watch out for. But if we work together and we keep building this car, you know, making it strong every race we go to, hopefully it'll be Lewis and myself fighting it out.
And what is the most important when you read things about skill and having the right morale in terms of dealing with danger and all of those things? What is the most important skill that you possess, do you think?
I think as a driver you need, as in any sport, you need to be the best there is in every area. And you know, I think that you need to have good racecraft. You know, when it comes to racing other people, you have to have a good eye for that. Obviously, the speed, you need the good speed, but you also need to be, you need to think about every situation that could arise, every scenario. And I mean the strategy, you know, especially with these difficult races that we've had lately. And you also need to be looking after the car. You know, this is a car that has 800 horsepower, and you know, you are going to damage things quickly if you don't look after it and also look after yourself. So there are lots of areas that we work on and improving. Mentally, we work on many areas. Physically, you know, how much training we do. So there are lots of areas that you need to work on, and we all understand that, and we're all trying our best, and you know, we're all striving to be the best driver in the world. And you know, every year that is one person out of 24. So we're all working towards that. I was the world champion last year, Lewis the year before, and we'll see what happens this year. But the great thing is, for me, Formula One has never been better. It's the most competitive year in this sport. You've got 4 world champions. One of them is Michael Schumacher, you know, the most competitive driver in Formula One.
Would you have ever been tempted back a few years later, do you think?
Will I? I think when you leave Formula One, you know, it's difficult to come back. But if someone can do it, it's Michael Schumacher. You know, the guy is a legend in Formula One. He really is. He's won 7 world championships, and he's won almost 100 Grand Prix, and nobody can ever take that away from him. He's found it a little bit difficult coming back, and this is probably the worst year for him to come back because it is a competitive season. But I can see him being strong again. He will, and he won't give up until he starts winning again.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Here's to the next time. I enjoyed it so much. Good luck in the days that lie ahead, particularly the Sundays that lie ahead. From the world champion now to the economic crisis enveloping Greece. This week it worsened. On Tuesday, the country's debt was downgraded to the level of junk, with Greece now judged as the riskiest nation in the world to lend money to. There's mounting fear that the situation in Greece will spread to other European countries unless a bailout deal, that bailout deal we've been hearing about, is reached soon. So what now? Well, I'm joined by George Alogoskoufis, who until last year was Greece's finance minister. Yesterday, Dominic Strauss-Kahn, the head of the IMF, said, in these words, said that basically the Greek situation could spread throughout Europe.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Well, it is possible, but that's why it is very important that the Greek situation is contained, and this requires efforts both by Greece, and the new Greek government is trying to control the situation, but also by the European Union, because as you know, we have been living in a period of a very deep financial crisis for the last couple of years. Greece is one of the victims of the crisis, not because it hasn't done things wrong. It has done things wrong in the past. It has a very high debt. Last year, 2009, which was an election year, the deficit increased substantially. And then the new government has not been as decisive as it should have been in the intervening months. But now the government seems to be taking grip of the situation. The markets, however, have a lot of doubts, and this is the problem. Greece has a lot of debt. It needs to refinance it, and interest rates in the markets right now for Greek debt are extremely high. So we need something to be done at the European level now.
And to what extent do you look back at the at your years as finance minister, up until last year and so on, and what went wrong during that period? To what extent do you take the blame for anything that's gone wrong, or do you think you were powerless?
I think that after the crisis, it was extremely difficult to contain the situation. In the years before the crisis, before 2008, the Greek economy had big problems, had a big debt. We were trying to control the deficit, of course. Growth was very fast until 2008. Unemployment was going down. But the crisis hit Greece very, very hard. And it is true that our government, during my time and after my time, because I was I had disagreements with my government, and I left in early 2009. But even afterwards, our government did not see the crisis coming.
Was there anything they could have done if they'd seen it coming? Could it ever have been averted?
It could have been averted if 2009 was a better year. If 2009, the previous government had started a more serious effort to reduce the deficit. And as I said, if the new government, when it came into power in October 2009, took immediate measures. But the new government lost a lot of time. The markets got nervous, and now we are in a situation where we certainly need the European package that has been agreed to help Greece finance its deficit in the short term. But we shouldn't rely on it too much. I think we should have a program to reduce the deficit very, very drastically now, and over the next 2-3 years, and go back to the markets as soon as possible.
Go back to the markets as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to assume that Greece would be financed by the IMF or the other European countries for a long time.
So Greece should not attempt to leave the Eurozone as it stands there. It needs to stay in it?
Yeah, I think Greece needs to stay in it. It has benefited a lot from the Eurozone. It did not do things as well as we should have done. We should have controlled our deficits earlier and more consistently. That's true. But it's never too late. We can do it now. But it would be a disaster if Greece was ever to think to leave the euro now.
When you say it's never too late, I mean, in fact, how much time have you got to come up with a solution that saves the situation in Greece and saves the situation in Europe too?
There is very little time. I think.
Very little time.
I think that probably this weekend there will be announcements having to do with what Greece will do, additional measures to reduce the deficit, and also an announcement on an interim financing facility for Greece for the next few months. But as I said, we should not see it, and Greece should not see it, as a permanent solution. The permanent solution would be to reduce the deficit, show to the markets that you can do it in the next year or so, and then go back to the markets.
And in the course of the next year or so, how much will be put up by the EU or by IMF?
Well, it will depend.
Together?
It will depend. The immediate financing needs of Greece are about 10 billion euros, which is it cannot go to the market for this amount now. So this is the immediate one. If the situation draws on through October or through next year, it may be another 60 billion. But I think that 1 year is enough time to take measures, see the results, convince the markets, and then go back to the market, even if you have to pay somewhat higher interest rates. And the euro has been a success for 10 years. It has been hit by the crisis. The crisis is an opportunity to see what are the real weaknesses and try to correct them.
What do you actually think about the German situation, or in fact the German zeal for this deal, or lack of zeal for this deal?
Well, I think that the Germans have proven that, first of all, that they're very much in favor of the euro project. Not public opinion so much, because they would have prepared the Deutsche Mark.
Yes, because 86%
yes,
say that they're against the idea of giving financial support to Greece.
Yes, but part of it is, I think, a misunderstanding, because it is being presented as if Germany is going to give money to Greece. Actually, it will give Greece a loan. And actually Germany will benefit from this loan, because Germany is borrowing at very low interest rates, and it will lend Greece at higher interest rates. So Germany, the German taxpayer, will make a profit out of this transaction. But this is a clear misunderstanding. I think that over the medium term, Germany will make everything that is required to keep the euro strong. And if it needs to help Greece or any other country that is in trouble because of the financial crisis, it will do it.
Thank you very much for being with us. In a moment now, we'll find out more about the rebirth of ballroom dancing by speaking to one of the stars of the TV program, which has become a hit all over the world.